Good morning, my friends. I really appreciate you, and I thank God for all of those that follow me here on Kingdom Purpose TV Network. Those of you that follow me on Facebook and any other social media platform, I am so grateful and I am so thankful for you. Listen here, God today has a word and a message just for you. He has a message just for you. And the message that we have today for you is this: the myth about willpower. The myth about willpower. So make sure that you grab your cup of coffee because there is a myth about willpower. And here we are on this day, thanking God for one more day, thanking Him for the opportunity to come before your presence, thanking Him for the opportunity to be in your home, or wherever you may be on your job. We just thank God for you today. Our scriptures today coming from Philippians chapter 4, verse number 13. And it says, I can do all things through Christ, which strengthens me. It also comes from Second Timothy chapter 1, verse number 7. Consider what I say, and God will give the understanding in all things. He goes on to say in Galatians chapter number 5, verse 22 and 23, but the fruit of the Spirit is love, is joy, is peace, is long suffering, is gentleness, it is goodness, faith, meekness, temperance. And it goes on to say, then against such there is no law. Here we are dealing with willpower. Willpower is the ability to resist short term temptations to reach a long term goal. Short term to reach a long term goal. Here is what we must understand in this. Many people think that their issue is a lack of self control. In all honesty, it's really not a lack of self control. It is really all about the fact that you have this thing within you and you say to yourself, I'm going to try harder, I'm going to try harder, I'm going to do better, I'm going to fast longer, I'm going to pray louder, I'm going to build better boundaries, I'm even going to delete some apps that I have on my phone, I'm going to get more accountability. But we must understand this thing, that eventually all of these things lead you back to where you're trying to get away from. The urges and the temptations, they all come back. And I know that I can relate to someone today who you've made some promises to yourself, you made some promises to God that you're going to do certain things, but for whatever reasons, things did not work and you failed in your trying. Hear the truth. This is the truth. Your willpower doesn't work because your willpower is part of the problem. It's part of the problem. Why don't your willpower work? Willpower is what's driving all of those unwanted behaviors. It's not stopping it, it's actually leading it to all of those unwanted behaviors. So now, instead of you using your willpower to get rid of this, that, and the other, your willpower is literally leading you back to the things that you no longer want to do. Willpower is not a moral force, it's a neurological engine. You know, the brain, a lot of times we talk about certain things and we don't quite understand that God has given us a brain. He's given us a system in our body, how we think. You know, the neurological engines that we have in our minds is deep embedded in us. And sometimes when we don't understand that God gave us a brain, we try to relate everything to a spirit. But when you're dealing with willpower, it's not, again, a moral force. It's a neurological thing. What do you mean, PSW? Always, your neurological, your willpower is always going to be chasing whatever The nervous system has been wired to think or wired in a way that will give you relief. When you're talking about having relief is these are the things that you do in order to get this relief. God is so good. He's such an awesome and mighty God. But watch this. Somewhere along the way, your brain started looking at an avoidance behavior for survival, an avoidance behavior for survival. An example, when you get overwhelmed, you escape. You know, when you feel unwanted, what do? You fantasize about being desired. When you feel anger or anxious or you feel ashamed, what do? You act out in the pursuit of hopefully finding peace. So now, hear this. A lot of people, they become discouraged for reasons unknown, but I want to encourage your heart today to help you to understand willpower. You weren't chasing sin, you were chasing relief. A lot of people that deal with a lot of things, a lot of people that deal with alcoholism or dealing with drugs of some sort, it's not sin that you're chasing. What you're really chasing is relief. And when you don't understand that your brain sets up a pathway to continuously do things in order to find release. And the more you repeat this loop, this habit, the more you ingrain in your brain that this is how you deal with relief. So now some people, they don't understand why they are doing this, that, and the other. And it is because they have trained their brain, the neurological parts of their brain, to search for a way for relief when they are under stress, when they feel unwanted, when they're going through different issues in life, when they lose a loved one, when they fail in some trying, the brain automatically goes back to the system that it knows. So what happens so many times is that we don't have people, or the church doesn't teach people that they also have a brain and a spirit. You have a body, you have emotions, and all of these things, they work together. All of them work together. All of them work together. Your mind and your body, your brain and your spirit, they all work together because it is a system that God has put in every one of us. So now you're finding a well rehearsed survival strategy that your brain has practiced thousands and thousands of times over, and it is ingrained in your neural pathways that are responsible for automatic behavior patterns. So now, when you're talking about a person, the myth about this willpower is that my willpower, I don't want to do this anymore. I'm tired of doing it this way. I'm tired of living this way. I'm tired of being this, that, and the other. I want to do something different. Every time I get to a situation, then I begin to act out. This is your brain that you've already set up a system in your brain. And what the enemy makes you think is that all of this is sin, but really the establishment that you've established in your brain is that this is how you deal with relief. When you have pain, this is how you deal with relief. So now when you're overwhelmed or you're stressed out and you all alone again, your willpower kicks in. But watch this, but not in the way that you think. It doesn't kick in the way that you think it's going to kick in. It doesn't fight against, hear this, it doesn't fight against the unwanted urges. It actually starts working towards the urges, right, as an escape and a survival behavior. Once again, you have a willpower. This willpower that you have is of yourself. This is why I read to you the scriptures in Philippians 4 and 13. Is that I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. So, in other words, what God is saying to you, what He's saying to me, in this particular situation where I'm dealing with my willpower, My willpower is fighting in its own strength. So now, if it is fighting in its own strength, every time I try to move forward, I find myself failing because I'm trusting in my willpower. I'm trusting in the fact that I said I wasn't going to do something anymore. I'm trusting in the fact that I said, well, you know what? This is it for me. You know what? I'm not going to do this anymore. I'm not going to do that anymore. I'm trusting in this fact. And then Second Timothy 1 and 7 says, consider what I say, and God will give the understanding in all things. If you would take a moment, just consider what you've heard on this program on today, and ask God to help you to consider understanding all things that even concern your brain and your heart. All of these things must work together in order for you to be successful in anything that you want to do, especially those things that are of spirit. You cannot ignore that you still have a body. You cannot ignore that you still have a brain. You cannot ignore that you still have emotion, and because you just want to be this spiritual guru. You must understand, my brothers and my sisters, you still have to deal with the body that God has given you. This is why Galatians 5 and 22 and 23 said the fruits of the Spirit is love, joy, peace, long suffering, gentleness, meekness, faith, temperance. Against such there is no law. I really pray to the Father that you've gotten this message on today. And instead of trusting in your own willpower, learn how to trust in what God has given you through his Spirit. You must get knowledge. John 8 and 32 says, ye shall know the truth, and the truth, my friend, shall make you free. Father, we thank you, and I really thank you for having coffee with PSW. Have a blessed day.